Hi, everyone. This is Janice Deloy with OHUG here, and I would like to introduce you to our webinar about streamlining test automation. Our presenter today is Dimpy Sharma, Vice President of Product and Customer Success at Opkey. Dimpy?
Thank you so much, Janice. And thank you so much, everyone, for making the time today. Um, it's really critical that we are talking about um, looking at efficiency and streamlining test automation. I think we've spoken about it at different events, and I'm really happy to kind of host some of the attendees today. And we want to talk about something which is, again, critical to streamline test automation and overall increasing efficiency with Oracle Cloud. We'll talk about a case study on streamlining test automation, the best practices, the features and functionality as a product, as a solution that we have, and how it kind of aligns with the overall implementation lifecycle and the overall test lifecycle that we have. So we're talking about a case study on Rochester City School District. This is our customer. It's leveraging Opkey to kind of streamline and HCM implementation. They have multiple modules of HCM like core HR, absence, benefits, compensation, payroll, and they are in a migration phase of the implementation. And they kind of procured Opkey a time when the implementation is going on and while the testing is happening in those phases. So it's more about the UAT phase, the SIT phase, the integrations that are happening between different environments. And we all know what challenges that kind of brings with it, right? So there are multiple Redwood templates that are involved. There are a lot of integrations that are involved across the overall ecosystem. And Opkey as a core test automation platform is it's helping establish the entire implementation and the test implementation program for Rochester. I'm going to talk about like how do we help in the test implementation and the overall life cycle a bit more while we talk about some of the challenges, some of the solutions that we presented, some of the solutions that we are currently working on as we implement them onto Opkey as a platform. But with that, I do want to kind of make sure that we look at a base and the horizontal platform of the overall ERP lifecycle as a platform. So we're going to cover what Rochester as an organization really required from this test automation program. What were the HCM implementation challenges that we were looking at from a testing perspective, like ahead of time? What are solutions and benefits that we came as a program, as a product and a solution, and the overall lifecycle management platform that we proposed and then implemented. Followed up with demonstrations. We're going to look at the platform. We're going to look at some of the features, some of the stuff that we have been doing on the platform for our customers that kind of benefits in different categories. And then obviously we'll take your questions as they come. So before we talk about Rochester and get into a little bit more detail, overall as a lifecycle platform, I think most of you are looking at some of the challenges that we are seeing today, right? And how we have been working with different organizations and like more premium organization like Rochester right now, and solving this problem, right? So just to give a brief understanding of where we are in the life cycle, we are a test automation platform, so we kind of fit in towards the right side of the overall implementation cycle, whether it is agile, whether it is the previous model of waterfall, or whether it is agile right now. We kind of fit into each and every methodology. We define or create an entire framework around how your test implementation is designed, essentially agile, and we kind of very seamlessly merge into a agile methodology as well, where wherever you start and wherever you are in the test implementation cycle, based on what solution you have procured and how you have collaborated with us, we kind of support the entire end-to-end life cycle. So that's critical. And with them, it was more about a left progressing towards right, where they were in a state of implementation, moving towards merging of different environments and going through an SIT and then followed by UAT and further down on the regression cycle. But essentially we come like really left on the implementation cycle as well, just to give a broad approach of where we stand from the solution standpoint. So we started working on that. Rochester as an organization is located in the East Coast. New York is one of the largest school districts that we're working with, that it is. And that kind of administrative framework that it has really requires the modules that it has procured from Oracle. And since the ecosystem is that massive, it's integrated with multiple applications, custom, homegrown, integrated with other legacy applications of Oracle, and then doing a lot of inbound and outbound, which means that the integration and the end-to-end test part of the overall scheme of things had to be extremely strong to support. So from a test automation framework perspective. Um, so that was a methodology and framework. There are multiple other things that we cater to from a testing, test suites and cycle perspective. I did say the SIT, but it kind of goes through if there is a phased implementation at any point and doing the CRPs for certain phases. If there's a UAT, we have an entire solution across QLM that kind of helps with the UAT program, where there are end-to-end business processes that take care of the overall user set up test scenarios, make sure that that's kind of integrated with the test data combinations that we mine, integrate and have them execute, making sure that the users are not doing so much of manual test, but are actually validating these business validation reports at the end of it. That's another area of where we support, and obviously the biggest and the core platform and solution that we have, which is the post implementation use case, where we support all the regression test suites, where we support and are already like aligned with the methodology of PAT certification, where we make sure there is a card methodology in place, and that takes care of your pre-patch, post-patch, and make sure that you have a patch certification in place within 3 days. I'll show you in a little bit how we do all of that. But majorly, Rochester and organizations like that in different verticals in this vertical essentially want to save time on the test implementation side. Even if there is one feature that kind of rolls out on the instance, there is a testing requirement. There's a cycle that needs to be triggered. You have to have a validation in place. You have to have that audit compliance in place before you make sure you move to the next cycle. So that's completely integrated with the feature. Every feature has a set of test scenarios, and we'll look at that in a bit, how that kind of maps and integrates together from a platform perspective. In order to have that continuity, we have a set of test mining solution that's integrated that aligns and makes sure that all the configurations are assessed, mined. We know exactly how many test scenarios are linked with the features that they have implemented. The entire test suite is linked to that, and if there's anything that's missing, that kind of gets suggested by our gap analysis. So the intent really is to kind of make sure that the end-to-end program is established on a platform, a lifecycle platform, more like Jira and Zephyr. So that's our own internal QLM platform that makes sure that all the requirements, user stories, and everything is secured at one place. And how all the tests are integrated with that platform is the overall test suite that we create. And that's generated by the test mining platform and the configuration mining platform directly, which means that there's absolutely no manual intervention unless there are custom integrations that we need to support. Our key solutions, obviously, to support the UAT is our test mining solution. But another key aspect and a key solution essentially is an end-to-end process that makes sure if your business process starts from, say, an external application, and you're doing a recruiting and you have an external recruiting application, it starts from there. It goes to the Oracle Cloud application, make sure all the positions are in place. You have all the data related to job profile and everything that kind of makes your end-to-end configuration that's in place. And based on that, you're creating multiple positions like a data-driven structure to support the data going forth for your business processes to consume and then run the tests in a recurring manner. So end to end, and the idea is to kind of create a prerequisite test suite before that it supports the UAT test suite and the regression test suite that comes after. So you have no manual intervention, and all the data is created, the transaction data gets created by the test automation platform, obviously it's test data, and that supports the end-to-end regression cycle for the patch validation, for the SIT cycle, for the UAT cycle, and any feature implementation or enhancement that you make every single time. At this point, we're doing like PP3A with the platform, with the organization, and we are supporting that test cycle for them. Some of the critical solutions that we come up with, again, obviously, to make sure we mitigate all the changes, and our QA team really knows what's exactly that has changed because of the changes that Oracle has made, because of the changes that your implementation have made to the instance. Anyway, any use case, we make sure that we assess that change automatically. Once we assess that team, the QA team immediately understands, for them it's critical, based on this change, what are my test scenarios that are affected. That happens using the real-time change impact assessment. That's our impact analysis platform that assesses and gives you that information. We also have a configuration mining. I just spoke about it, but this is significantly critical and solves one of the most important issues, which is how to get the data and who's going to generate the data, which is so massively spread across different permutations and combinations. So we generate the data using configuration mining and merge it to the configurations that are done in the master data and the major setups on the platform, plus the transaction data. So it's a merge of those two that then creates a significant set of test data that goes into the test scenarios and you are able to execute. And all of this is supported by the pre-built set of test accelerators that run at the backend. So all the pre-built business components that are connected with the test scenarios, all of that are already built. So there are about 7,000 plus test accelerator components that we have that kind of make different test scenarios right on the fly, based on assessing what is the path that you have, and based on that particular path that you're taking already on your business processes, what are the right unique test scenarios that you should be testing. Last but not the least, uh, all the testing cycles are since attached to the QLM platform. We are able to generate multiple reports out of them. So we have a test execution report, we have a test validation report, we have a automated / manual test report that kind of gives you information across each and every test step, and you have an entire test documentation and dashboard that is attached to it. What is Opkey's QLM platform? It's it's a lifecycle platform just like any other test management platform. And the only key difference that it has is that it is specifically built for ERP applications. It's not a generic QLM platform that would only track your user stories to requirements to your tests and then your defects. This kind of helps you create different project plans, helps you give you the tasks that are relevant for an ERP application. For example, how do you do a patch certification? Do you have like the right amount of test tasks associated with a pre-patch process or a patch process already created? Are you able to integrate those tasks with the right user story and the tests? So you have those templates, pre-created templates available across every event for the ERP application, and that makes it different. Obviously, apart from that, the fact that it's part of our own solution, so all the test cycles, all the test cases, all the test suites are interlinked and gives an seamless integration between everything that you run and everything that you execute to all the test and all the execution platforms. The bigger problem that we are solving, obviously reusability, compliance and audit, that was critical for Rochester as a platform, overall productivity issues, and just taking away all the work that the business users need to do from a recurring testing perspective. And they can just focus on which features to implement, what's the right way of testing, what's the right way of managing the tests, and just looking at the validation reports at the end of it, while the automated test solution is going to take care of everything that they need to do from a continuous testing perspective. With that, we'll move to a live demo. Janice, I'm just curious to see if we have any questions before I move there.
No questions yet.
All right, perfect. So, folks, this is our test automation platform, and you can already see the left panel really shows all the different solutions that we have. So we have QLM. So that's our, the initial base platform we were just speaking about. That's the platform where we have all our test plans, all our project plans, all the tasks kind of laid down one after the other. So you can look at everything that you need to do from a project management perspective. Those are then broken down into different user stories. Let me just create a new project plan here.
And Dimpy, we do have a question in the
Sure.
chat. Did you use out-of-the-box test scripts, or did you have to customize any of the scripts? If you customized, was it a technical or functional person that updated the case?
Very good question. We did most of our tests mapping it with the pre-built set of libraries and the test mining solution that we have. We did create custom test scripts for them, and we are as we speak, and it's a functional test script development. Right, with the business users that were there on their end, there was not like a lot of technical requirements and a lot of connectors involved till this point. If later on they are, we would involve a bunch of technical consultant to kind of look at that particular integration scenario. But otherwise, apart from that, all the standard functionalities and test cases are pre-built, covered by the platform. You can already see, right? I mean, I'm showing you the QLM platform, and look at the tasks that are available from it directly. And that kind of helps with the laying down of all the templates that are going to dictate how an onboarding needs to be done, or how a patch certification needs to be done, or what entails as part of the overall kickoff. Every step of the test implementation is just broken down into different tasks as required by our application and our implementation cycles. What should the scope and deliverables should look like, and how the patch should look like, and things like that. From a test implementation perspective, there are a couple of things which are really critical. And one of them is, look, what is my relevant prerequisite? Every prerequisite is linked with the modules that you're implementing, whether it is access, whether it is module level access, whether it is approvals. All of that is associated with how you have currently implemented your solution. Just on that point, we do the traceability directly, and this is an AI powered traceability which assesses what you are currently testing, what you're doing today versus what Opkey gives you. And then there's a traceability to give you an assurance of exactly this is the percentage that you're missing, or this is the percentage that gets mapped. All right, I can go on and on with this plan right here. It's getting developed as we speak. It's creating tasks for us. The next set of tasks is going to come around the patch, overall the patch certification. And this is how it looks. Let's look at how do we actually do it. Now the how part is going to get answered with this solution right here. We start with creating a snapshot and creating a test discovery snapshot. When we select our instance, and when we select what snapshot do we want to create, and we select a process, and there's a process mining technology that runs at the background, right? All we have to do is give it a start date and an end date and allow the system to analyze. What it does at the back end is it's going to mine the transaction logs, it's going to mine the configurations that are done, like the major setups and the master data that is set up in the system. And then based on that, give you an analysis of what your consultants are doing right now on that duration. Obviously, configurations does not require the duration to be put. This is essentially for the business processes, and it is going to lay down. Let me show you something which is pre-created. It's going to lay down a process end to end, exactly how the users are using it today, with a display of all the unique paths. So, for example, if you're taking this path or someone has taken this path, this is a unique test scenario. If you have taken this path, this is another unique test scenario. And this is an end to end business process. Exactly how your consultants must be using it. Like a Uber trip, you go from point A to B to C to D, and it is going to just do that analysis and give you that report. And then divide those unique paths into different test scenarios. And something which is very critical right here is if they are testing 22 scenarios, and that's what we call as mind, it's not relevant that that's going to dictate how your actual test suite should look like. When you look at suggested, this is the gap analysis that we do. So we do a coverage assessment and tell you, based on your configurations, what is that you're testing today and what is that you're not testing, and that should be covered as part of suggestions. And together it's going to create, and those suggestions would look like that. Those are already suggested test scenarios. These are built, these are ready to be executed and things like that. So you have these scenarios to be executed, and those will become part of your test automation suite, hence giving you an extended test coverage. And you exactly know there are no points, no configurations that you're missing in your overall test coverage assessment. How do we do that? If you look at the right panel of my screen that gives configurations, we already mine a bunch of configurations here, right from business unit, how many business units, the legal entities, the legislative groups, the legal employers and jobs and positions and profiles and stuff like that. And then based on that, we generate test data directly like this across different permutation and combinations. And then based on these test data combinations directly, you are able to automate, generate, and convert these into test automation suites. And that's it. You're directly are good to go for executions. This is the as is mode. I mean, what we are talking right now is how do we develop a test automation suite which is relevant, which has taken in account all the configurations that you have done, and it's absolutely comprehensive. Once you are doing that and you're in an as is mode and the regression suites are working fine and things like that, you receive a patch. You receive a patch every quarter, and that's going to disrupt everything that you have done till now. How do we manage that? We do that using impact assessment. This is again very, very critical solution of ours that allows you to kind of do a comparison between releases, do a comparison between snapshots, select the snapshot number 1 for the previous release, snapshot number 2 for the new release, and it gives you an assessment like this to kind of give you a view of what is the change. And based on these changes like this, for example, this is the module that we are looking at, and you can see these are the number of changes that have been done for this particular form, before and after, what has been added, what has been changed, the data type modifications and things like that. And then based on this, what does it mean for the QA teams? For the testing team, it means that because of this configuration change, these are the test scripts that are affected. You can directly pull up these test scripts, select them, and then create a risk test suite and put that out for execution. That's it. And this is why, and this is the reason that we are able to do the patch certification that we are able to do in 3 days. That's because we leverage this. We make sure that any change that is assessed automatically is able to modify automatically. So you say self-heal, it's going to give you the component that gets affected. When you say heal, it's going to make sure that this particular component is healed automatically. Making sure that 70% of the changes directly happen into the test scripts, and then the rest of them we are continuing. If there's a business workflow chain and things like that, then obviously we'll have to go to the business component and make that change and append that. All right, this is what we planned for today. We go back and look at any questions that you guys have for me. Janice, over to you.
Yes. How does the analysis know if there is new functionality where a test script doesn't exist?
Very, very good question. We do an assessment. I mean, we mine again post the release, and that's the short answer. This is the first step that we do. And when we mine for, say, a new patch has received, right? It's 24D, new patch comes up, we mine again. And based on that mining, because there would be like tens of features that get opt-in part of 24D, and there's only bunch of them that you're going to implement it for your organization. So we first need to assess whether you have enabled that offering or not. So based on mining, we assess that, and then based on that, it is going to suggest you the suggested piece is going to show all the different test scripts that are related to that feature. And since we mine the data, we mine the test scenario. And if that data is still not present, we'll create our own scenario and then execute it. If that data is present, it is going to take you already know how do we mine and create that test data. It generates that test data and then it's ready for execution. But yeah, short answer, we'll have to mine to look at what you have enabled as part of your offering. So we connect to your BI admin and understand that. And then based on that, suggest you test scenarios that are linked to that feature. I hope that helps.
Okay, do we have any other questions? No more just at the moment, Dimpy. Feel free to put it in the chat or the Q&A if you have any other questions. How many people does your organization have using this, and how long was your total implementation?
Sorry, Janice, can you repeat that, please?
How many people does your organization have using this, and how long was your total implementation? I believe this is for your client example.
Oh, we have about 4 people that are aligned to the project across different modules, and they have been and 2 of them are looking at integrations, and then 2 are obviously we don't need a lot of folks when it comes to test discovery and making sure that the test automation suites are up and running. So 2 folks are working on that.
Kara, did that answer your question? Okay, yes, it did. Thanks, Dimpy. Anyone else have a question? All right. Well, I think we're through the questions, Dimpy. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Well, thank you. I think no, I think I'm good, and I do want to stress upon the fact that it's a change. It's a time of change. There are multiple things that are coming in, and we are really sitting at the center of everything, and we are innovating continuously. That's what our charter as a platform is, whether it is Redwood, whether it is new features, whether it is AI, and we are doing everything at all to kind of make sure that we are ahead of every change that's coming up. So that's our solution, and that's what we are focused on right now. So do reach out if you have more questions for us, or you want to see a more dedicated demonstration for yourself.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Dimpy. Very informative as usual. And we'll see you the next time. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for attending.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for having me.